Hi, this is Kid K, and I'm here to talk to you about the confirmation of the Hoenn remakes, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Pokemon Alpha Sapphire. Now, this has taken me about 7.5 hours of solid research, pokedex entries, past games, Pokemon releases and whatnot. So please watch this all the way through, because what I'm going to say is pretty important. As we all know, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Pokemon Alpha Sapphire has been recently confirmed. Now, this game has been confirmed as a Hoenn remake. First of all, I'm only going to state things that are definitely fact or really backed up speculation. Now, for me to give you solid, conclusive evidence about what is going on, we have to go back all the way back to Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. When these games were released, soon after, Pokemon Platinum version was released. Then the first actual remakes on DS, which is Heart Gold and Soul Silver version. Now, what I'm about to say is fact, it is not opinion. The usual assumption of Pokemon Platinum's release is to explain the reason why Giratina's existence was necessary to the games. Well, that partially being true, the initial plan behind it was the same as the creation of the remakes Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It was to buy time for the creation of the new Unova region and Pokemon game Pokemon Black and White. You are probably wondering where I'm going with this. Pokemon Black and White introduced quite a lot of Pokemon in the 4-year gap between the previous release of a new region and new Pokemon. Pokemon Black and White introduced 156 new Pokemon over the 4-year gap. The last country Pokemon Black and White was released was in 2011, and Pokemon X and Y were released 2 years later in 2013, which would mean the game common sense would dictate that the game would have approximately 78 new Pokemon due to the 39 new Pokemon approximately being released over a year period, which is actually close to the actual number of Pokemon being released, which is 72, including the event Pokemon not released yet. In Pokemon X and Y, there was a backpacker that you would speak to in a random hotel and would tell you he comes from a region that is not Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, or even Unova. It is a region you have never seen before, and you would see it in due time. And if you spoke to him 5 consecutive times, he would give you something called the strange souvenir, which looks something that comes out of Asian culture. I'm not saying the new Pokemon game, new Pokemon games, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, are set in different regions. They will definitely be set in Hoenn. What I'm saying is these new game releases are basically going to serve the same purpose as Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, to buy time for the rumored game that started to go around this year, early this year, gone under the names of Project Pokemon Plus and Minus, which was speculated that the region would be set in or based off Indonesia, which would make sense due to the look of the strange souvenir and the designs of the Hoopa, of the event legends Hoopa and Volcanion. I say Pokemon Plus and Minus, not necessarily the final names of the games, is fact. It is real. Another fact is, during the development of Pokemon X and Y, somewhere around, just gathering my notes, somewhere around 2012, they began the development of Pokemon Plus and Minus. The reason this is fact is because for them to incorporate clues of the new region into the game, it would have already had to be in development. And I believe this game will be released either late 2015 or 2016. That is why they've decided to release another remake to buy more time for the development of these games, because they do not want the same disappointment that players felt towards the recent games Pokemon X and Y, in the areas of no new Pokemon, low amounts of new Pokemon being created, and the short and disappointing post-game. But before the release of this game, another game will be released if Pokemon Plus or Minus does not come out in 2015. And it will be either one of these titles: Pokemon Beta Emerald or Pokemon Z. They will only make Pokemon Z if they do not include Zygarde as part of the new Pokemon games Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And they will only do Beta Emerald if you cannot catch both Kyogre and Ruby in one game, like Omega Ruby, like they did in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where you could catch both game exclusive legends. The trifecta of the Hoenn region, Kalos, well, I'm basically talking about what. Before I go on any further, I'm going to speak about the trifectas of the Hoenn region and the Kalos region and how similar they are. The trifecta of the Hoenn region and Kalos region have many similarities. In fact, they only have 3 differences, between 3 or 2, I can't remember. Let's first go with the similarities. Kyogre and Groudon can both bring destruction and save lives of all living things. This is the same as Xerneas and Yveltal. The only difference is Xerneas' power is only to share its everlasting life, and Yveltal's power absorbs all life force and everything, causing destruction. Whereas Kyogre and Groudon's powers of Sorry about that, let me just continue. I'll just cut off briefly then by my microphone. So yeah, Kyogre and Groudon's powers of weather can cause destruction as well as saving lives, depending on how the powers are used. Now, Zygarde and Rayquaza act in the same way in their respective powers/abilities. Rayquaza's ability being Airlock, which eliminates all weather effects, which are Kyogre and Groudon's power. Also, Rayquaza's Dragon/Flying typing gives it the type advantage both over Kyogre, which is a water type, which Dragon resists, and Groudon, which is a ground type, which Flying is immune to. Instead of Zygarde being immune to the other legends in its trifecta, it is weak to their type. Fairy being immune to dragon type moves, which is Zygarde's first typing, and Flying, which is Yveltal's. Sorry, I forgot to mention Fairy is for Xerneas. Flying is for Yveltal, which is immune to ground type moves, which is Zygarde's second typing. I leave the differences for you to figure out, as they are not hard to figure out, and the video will be long enough already. Also, Rayquaza, sorry, I forgot to mention Zygarde's ability. Zygarde's ability Aura Break is similar to Airlock. It eliminates all auras and reverses them, which the other legends in Zygarde's trifecta, their abilities are to do with auras, which is, for example, Xerneas' aura is Fairy Aura, as it is a Fairy type, and Yveltal's aura is Dark Aura, which is Yveltal's first typing as well as Flying. Also, Rayquaza only appears when Kyogre and Groudon fight, and Zygarde only shows its true power due to its original poor stats in-game would dictate its power would be revealed if Xerneas and Yveltal would fight, as its true power will only be revealed if the ecosystem is in danger, and Xerneas and Yveltal fighting would do just that, as Xerneas' powers to cause everlasting life and Yveltal's powers to end all life, conflicting would constantly be bringing about life and death simultaneously. And for the ecosystem to be healthy, it has to be balanced with life and death, and with everything basically, water, ground, living territories. So for the balance of life and death to be altered, it would threaten the ecosystem's very health. But in my opinion, I think Zygarde will be in Pokemon Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, because if Kyogre and Groudon were to fight, with constant flooding and constant ground being made due to them being Kyogre being creator of the seas and Groudon being creator of the land, it would cause the ecosystem into disarray, forcing Zygarde out. Or if Kyogre, Groudon, Yveltal and Xerneas were to fight, it would do just that, completely destroying the ecosystem, forcing Zygarde out. Now I'm just going to go back and refer to my notes again, sorry. Okay, back to the other name of the Pokemon game I said will be released. The name Pokemon Beta Emerald is the definite name for the other game that will be released, and I am 45% sure that it would. And it would be called this because the titles of the Hoenn remakes that were named Alpha Sapphire, Alpha being the first letter of the Greek alphabet, which is how Sapphire was named due to Kyogre being the main focus of the game, and Emerald Pokedex entry described it as creator of the sea. Now, based on Christian beliefs, I don't want anyone to be offended that I'm comparing Pokemon to Christian beliefs, but this is just the truth. Based off Christian beliefs, water was the first living domain created first on Earth, which is why it gains the title of Alpha. Groudon, being based off the game Omega Ruby, gained the name Omega, which is the last letter of the Greek alphabet. This is because Groudon is described as creator of land according to Emerald, the Emerald Pokedex, being created as the last domain in Christianity. It gains the title of Omega. Now, the reason Emerald gains the name Beta is because it's the second letter in the Greek alphabet, and in Christian beliefs, the sky was created second in all of the domains, after the waters, which is the domain which Rayquaza dwells, i.e. the sky, which gives Rayquaza the title Beta. Also in this game, the new version of Rayquaza shown in Pokemon magazine is not a Mega Evolution. I repeat, this is fact and backed up by Pokemon Fire Red Pokédex entry stating Rayquaza has lived for many years in the ozone layer. Its flying form, which indicates it would have other forms if it has a flying form, looks like a meteor. That entry confirms Rayquaza has another form, and it is definitely not Mega Evolution, as Mega Evolution is not another form but temporary evolution. So that possibility is ruled out, which rules out that or makes it less possible that Kyogre and Groudon on the box art of the games that were released are not Mega Evolutions. Instead, new forms of Pokemon or of the Pokemon, or similar to something like Mega Evolution, being introduced into the game. Also, there will be Mega Swampert and Mega Sceptile to be added to Mega Blaziken, so all the home starters will have Mega Evolutions. And there may be Sinnoh being brought back into this game, as the previous remakes did with Kanto